I perform under the name Cumulus, and this is my song Sunbeam.
Today we have a very magnificent individual here with us, a very talented individual. We love everything that you do. Jesse, you got anything?
Have I? Well, sorry.
You gassing up.
Well, yeah.
Compliment
we have really,
me.
yes, absolutely. One of the stars of the stage and the scene around here that some people don't know about. So we're very excited to shine a light on Cumulus.
Cumulus! What up, folks?
I also just want to do like a Wayne's World, like diddle-oo, diddle-oo,
Yeah, right. Go and dissolve into, yep.
I love it. So, how are you? Who is Cumulus? And tell us about yourself.
My name is Alex, and I live in Bellingham. I live just kind of outside of Bellingham, out in the county. And I've lived here since 2019. And I did go to school here at Western, and then I discovered my love for playing music through house shows and things like that. And then I moved to Seattle in 2010, and then I lived there until 2019. Just pretty much pursuing music like all I could, working at restaurants, pizza shops, coffee shops, and touring and making records and having various band arrangements and just trying my best to like go for it so that by the time I got into my 30s, I could be like, you know, I had a pretty good time. I had a pretty good.
I did that.
I had a pretty good go at it, you know. And then I met my partner, and he's from Bellingham, and so we met when he was living in Seattle, and we were just like, why are we still living here? We can't afford it anymore. And that was like, you know, also can't afford Bellingham.
I was about to say, right? Bellingham really not much cheaper.
But we moved
Out
back
of the
here.
frying pan into the fire. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I feel like I don't play as often anymore. I'm still like in between figuring out how I want to perform live. I play solo a little bit here and there, or with one other bandmate who's kind of been a collaborator. I call him my co-pilot because sometimes he's on keys, sometimes he's on guitar. He does like production with me, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But he's kind of been my consistent north. His name's William Cremin, for the last few years, because he like lives an hour away, which isn't too bad. So we practice at his parents' basement, and demo things. But a couple years ago, I kind of realized, like, if I can't pursue music full time and, as I'm getting older, I do know, you try to figure out how to boil it down to the things that you love. Like, there's just a lot of parts.
You got to feed your inner child.
Making music, and not all of them are my favorite part.
What's your least favorite part?
Talking. I like this. But I don't like being on the internet and telling people to listen to me.
Listen.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Doing the social media,
yeah,
and doing
the social
the
media
networking
and all those kinds
yeah.
of things. And those things are like, they're just increasingly like so important. And I think pretty core to probably making it your living, unless you're pretty far aged in from the 2000s, 90s already and have a career.
And even then, you probably just hire somebody to do it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy money right there.
So I was like, okay, what are my favorite parts? Well, I love writing songs, and I love playing like intimate rooms, and I love talking about songwriting, and I love making records. So I know I'm going to make records for the rest of my life.
As you should.
And I will play, whenever it feels right and however it feels right. And that's kind of where I'm at in my discovery, constant discovery of things.
Well, you see, that was the perfect synopsis of everything, but now we got to break it down.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the early days of the band.
Yeah.
How did it get started? Was it always Cumulus? Was that always the name of the band?
Mm-hmm.
Talk people through a little bit of like some of the achievements, some of the big moments of that era.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend in college that started a blog, and I didn't know I was going to be a writer on the blog. And I
missed the blog era.
Yeah. And I had no idea. It was like literally a blog space. Like, what did they, like Blogger?
Blogspot?
Or Blogspot or something like that, And I had no idea what I was going to call mine. And I remember I really liked clouds. And I was like, my blog will be called Cumulus. And
wait, so it started as a blog before the band?
well, kind of. I guess the name did in a way. Like, it was an idea. I was like, I really like clouds. And then I was starting to play shows. And actually at first, I think for a couple months, I had a different band name when I first started in 2008. I loved Mount Erie and the microphones, so I called my project Little Ghost, which was one of my favorite Mount Erie songs. And then summer of 2008, I moved into the Department of Safety, which was an all-ages venue in Anacortes, Washington. And I got really involved in that DIY scene there. And I guess, I could talk lots about all of that and that space and the magic of that space.
Talk to us about it. Tell them about it.
Yeah, it was an old fire department that was an all-ages, that got turned into an all-ages music venue. And then it was also an art gallery. And then it was also a hostel. And so, and then we had artists and
what?
So we had and I was only a small part of it. Like, I only lived there for a summer, kind of like an unofficial internship. But that venue, I'm pretty sure, existed from 2004 to 2011 or so. Some early 2000s to definitely it went past 10 years. And but yeah, so I got to open up for Beach House there in 2009.
That's sick.
I got to see Bonnie Prince Billy, Magnolia Electric Company, just all these bands that basically it was a spot similar to how Bellingham was, that really big bands could come through, on their way through to Vancouver and Seattle and things, but they could also spend the night and get a home-cooked meal. It was a very communal space, so the people who lived in the venue also paid the rent of the venue and had jobs, and then, donated all their time to helping that space run.
That's dope.
And then whenever we had artists come and play, there would be dinner prepared for those artists, and there was an art gallery, and then we also did like an artist in residency program where artists would travel from all over the world to come and live there for like 3 months and then make an interactive art exhibit.
Oh, that's
and so
sick,
when
bro.
when I was there in the summer of 2008, my roommate, like one of the artists that lived there as an artist in residence, was this guy named Gus, who was the drummer for Architecture in Helsinki, which is a really cool indie band of that time. And so I just got to know so many incredible, inspiring people. But also, I was in the town where Phil Elverum lived, calling my band Little Ghost, which was kind of embarrassing. And somebody even was like, that's a little nerdy, that's a little weird. And I was like really self-conscious about it because I also feel like
Fuck them.
fandom has changed. I think now it's like cool to be a big fan, but I feel like back then it was still kind of like cringe or something. So, and I cared a lot about what people thought because I was like 19.
It's cool to like stuff.
Yeah.
So, or 20 or something. So I ended up changing my band name to Cumulus, probably before 2009. And then from there, played house shows all around Bellingham and Anacortes.
What were the house venues at that time?
Yeah, there was this really amazing venue called Friendship City. That's one of my favorite places to think about. I don't actually know like what neighborhood it was in off the top of my head, but saw some incredible touring bands through there.
We need to bring
and
back a venue called Friendship City.
Yeah.
City's a pretty great name.
That's
This was around the time of Yellingham becoming established
Yep.
too, which was a house show festival. So it was an entire weekend of shows that were all house shows. And so there was a venue called the Hoot House, which was kind of the center of a lot of those shows. Montague Manor, which was like, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if that house is still a party house because it's absolutely a manor. I think there's like 15 bedrooms in
What
it
color
or
is it?
something. It's brown.
Let's go track it
It's
down.
got
So
like,
I was trying to think if I knew what it was.
I'm sure that-
it's just like a big brown Victorian house, if I can remember. But it's so huge. And then I also booked the Underground Coffee House at Western. And I worked at KUGS. So I started getting like, really combining. I was like, okay, DIY scene here, and then getting involved in the scenes here. And then that just introduced me to so many artists. And at one point through booking at the coffee house, I met a musician named Shenandoah Davis, who's from Seattle. She's a piano player, singer-songwriter. And she was like, we have a room open in my house in Seattle. And I was graduating, and I was like, I'm going for it. And then I moved to Seattle and met
How was
a
that
bunch.
change? How did that feel?
It was so, I actually lived in like a Harry Potter-like closet for a year in this house. It was it was also a very big house. It was like 3 stories on Capitol Hill. And there were like 6 of us living in this house. And I was in the closet room for like the first year, but I worked my way up to a really nice bedroom on the main floor.
I earned it.
Yeah. I think I paid like $350 a month for rent or something.
For the Harry Potter room?
Yeah, for the Harry Potter room.
Like, could you touch both walls?
Almost. My mattress did.
Damn, bro.
Yeah. And then I worked at the Triple Door. I worked at I was intern at Sub Pop, and I was just kind of like doing my thing. And a lot of people that I just met through my life of being involved in community were also in Seattle. So one of my friends from Anacortes, who I'd grown up with, who was in a band called the Oregon Donor, Lance Umble, he ended up being the first guitar player in my band. And then, then the first version of the band formed in about 2013. And then I recorded my first record then at the Unknown in Anacortes in 2013. And it was a very quick, record it, and we practiced and recorded the songs exactly as we practiced them kind of recording
Dialed
session,
in.
And at the time, in 2013, 2012, I can talk so much. I can go on lots of. But
No, you
yeah,
got stories. I love
and it
it.
was
I love
crazy
it.
living in Seattle. I mean, it was really, really cool. It was actually pretty affordable. I know that song, but I was living in a closet. But other people, I know so many punks. There was
something we were talking the last time I was on here when we were talking with Rich. We were talking about just if you want to have a vibrant music scene, there has to be that possibility for somebody right out of college to work 30 hours a week at a crappy job.
Yeah.
And just do music all the time.
Yep.
You know, and
Yep.
somehow make ends meet that way.
Yeah, one of my favorite.
When you don't have that possibility, it's tough for people.
And the DIY venues in Seattle were there too. There was this place called Healthy Times Fun Club, which was like right on the Pike Pine corridor, that served vegan food to everyone who entered the door, and then had like really amazing shows. And there was the Vera Project was, you know, still
love the Vera Project.
you know, they've transitioned into so many amazing things over the years. But I went to like their locations before they were in the location they are now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, under the Space Needle.
Near it,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just call it that.
Yeah. In the shadow of the space.
And
Yeah.
Bumbershoot and all those festivals, you know, booked.
I've never been to one.
Still had a great local lineup and local. I don't know.
Wait,
and
hold on. You need to go.
it does
what do
now too. It did great.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was about to say.
they're bringing that back.
bringing
it back.
Like
Yeah,
that's
they're
what
making
they're
it more
trying to
local, yeah.
return to, because they kind of like drifted from that.
It was
for
a lot of
couple
big
years.
acts for a long time.
Too many big.
Yeah.
And you know, big is good, but you got to balance it out by giving the little guys a shot. Not that
That's
we're,
nice.
you know, but the local
Yeah.
guys and gals and everybody.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after these messages. You know that one record you're trying to find on vinyl from your favorite artist, you just can't find it. Have you ever checked out Black Noise? It's in the heart. It is the heart of Bellingham's music scene, founded by the one and only Nico Sanchez. They've got all sorts of indie gems, handpicked by Nico himself. Jazz, punk, you name it. Swing by for some good vibes and whatever album you're trying to find. 1312 Bay Street, Deppin. Binary Recording Studio is a versatile space designed to cater to all music genres. And when I say all, I mean all. If you're into jazz, rock, hip-hop, or anything in between, Binary is equipped to bring your music to life. With the expert engineering and the best setup, my boy Bob, he can capture the essence of whatever you are wanting to create and bring it, just to reality. From there, book your session today, unleash your creativity at Binary Recording Studio. But for real, my boy Bob, he will not disappoint. And welcome back.
So in that period, was there a time when it really felt like this is happening? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, people are paying attention. You did some tours of the country, right? So how was that? What was that like?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because, like, whenever I talk to people about music, it's similar to, like, being in customer service or something, in that you should be nice to everybody because you just never know when someone's going to change your life. That's, like,
That's great
that's
advice.
just something that's, like, and that has profoundly impacted me in music. And so in 2013, we made this record, like, self-funded, and then our friend was mixing the record. His name was Sam, and I forget his last name off the top of my head because we haven't talked in years. Sam Winston, I think.
Wesner?
Wesner? No, his last name was Winston. Sam
Okay,
Winston.
I was about to say, hold on.
And I also grew up along with the Lonely Forest Guys, which was a band that was really big at the time, blowing up. And they were on a record called Trans Records. And it was transatlantic because it was an Atlantic subsidiary. So it made a little more sense in that context. But it was Chris Walla from Death Cab for Cutie. It was his record label. And basically Sam Winston, our friend who was mixing our record, was also doing a bunch of stuff for Chris in his studio. And I guess that Chris just heard our record over and over again because Sam was mixing it, and he really loved it, and he signed us to his label. And so it was like after he was finished being in Atlanta, it became fully independent. So we got signed to Chris Walla's label, and then we got to join the Lonely Forest on their national tour, and we toured a lot on that record. And then and I put my next record out on Trans Records as well. And I think that was a really, it's an indie label, and I wouldn't say, like, it didn't really have, like, Chris, bless his heart, like, he had like a website and a Twitter and
wasn't
like
the
stuff.
full promotional
and
push
we
of
did
a-
actually do a bunch of we paid for quite a bit of publicity on like those first two records, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't the same as maybe some, like, a label that really existed because it was a label. It was somebody who was kind of running a passion project label.
Yeah.
So I think I had a lot of vision of grandeur, and then the reality was like, we did get to travel the country with our music and put out records. And that's something that, like, I think for a long time I was like kind of like, I was a little sad, you know, in that there's some things that you want to achieve that maybe didn't quite get there. But then I think that it just comes with getting older and reflecting and like learning more about what you love and why you do what you do, that you're like, man, the things that we got to do were fucking cool.
Yeah, most people never touch that.
You got to take that moment,
Yeah.
like, pause and like look around, like, oh, this is
Yeah. So I think like I feel definitely like my last decade with music has been like a big journey in gratitude and like thinking about the things that that I've gotten the chance to do and the people I've gotten a chance to meet. And then and when you're in it because you really, really love it and it's just like in your soul, you like connect with people on such a, you know, on such a different level, on a real level. And so people have changed my life, and I've hopefully impacted other people.
You definitely have.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Was there, the flip side of the last question, was there a moment where it started to feel like, oh, like the tide's rolling back out, or like where this is not fun anymore?
Yeah.
Can you like identify the moment when that switch flipped and it was like, this is not?
There's probably a couple. I mean, like, there's so many ups and downs in being a band and trying to do it, you know, like fights on the road or bands breaking up.
What was the dumbest fight on the road? Because you know there was a petty one.
Oh, a petty one? I mean, I think it's all pretty valid when you're like all living inside a tin can for like a month, you know, and we weren't like at the level where we had hotels really or anything either. So it was like, I still remember sleeping on floors in apartments in New York where you could hear the cockroaches crawling next to your ear. You know, it's just kind of like, none of us were getting sleep. None of us were eating that well, you know, so I don't know, like, everything's petty in a way when you're, like, at that. And it takes, like, so I think that, I mean, I guess when it stopped, I guess it's, like, I think it was more just the energy of, like, things started becoming more expensive, you know, to live, right? And then you're just, I just got exhausted of having to quit jobs and then go on tour and then find another job. And then also kind of feeling like, and I still haven't gotten over this feeling. I think that there's like, sometimes it felt like I was just doomed for a life of restaurant work because I loved music so much, or like doomed for a life of customer service because I never like trained myself into any other area besides like pursuing, you know, doing music and being a nice person, which I was very good at. You could pay me to be a nice person at your business, and then I would go and play music, and those are the things I kind of like knew how to do. But you never really get paid great in customer service or restaurant work. And they don't love it when you quit your job and go on tour and then 3 months later come back and say you need a job again.
Yep.
So I think it was just kind of like the older I got, the lack of stability was kind of like what really impacted me. And just kind of made me feel like I just don't understand how people have the time to put into their music careers in a way that actually makes it a career, because it takes so much time. And, you know, a lot of people don't have those sources of money that are, you know, well, however it is that people do.
Right.
You know, like I've always paid my own rent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just like, I just kind of feel like, it sounds so typical, but it's like, getting close to my 30s, I was just like, man, I just don't know how much longer I can do it like this. But I also think that, it's crazy how different things feel between now and then. I feel like I grew up on an ethos of like very binary thinking of like, you're either all in it or you're not. Like, if you're not pursuing music, then you got to quit music and get a career. And if you're,
interesting.
Pause, bro, nah.
and if you have a career, then that's not music, then you can't do music. And I think that it took me a long time to also figure out, like, we can all bloom into many different things and do many different things creatively. Doesn't all have to be one project, doesn't have to be one genre, doesn't have to be one, just like, man, you can really limit yourself so much in the chase of like this I'm a pure musician.
Right. I feel like that leads us into a good kind of next area, which is like, since you've been back in Bellingham, how would you describe the music that you've been making, the people you've been making it with, the process, the goals, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, like, I think let's see, I'm trying to think about so this record I put out called Comfort World, which was my second record on trans, and I think I put that out in like 2016 or something. I think I really had big ambitions for that record, and I did get to tour a lot. I toured a lot on that record. I got to experience the first record was really quick in the studio. This was a record where we got to take our time. I worked at Big Mario's in Fremont, it was right down the street from the Hall of Justice. And so and then our practice space was at this auto shop across the street. So pretty much it was like the best trifecta.
Leave work, go right to practice.
Chris owned this studio, and so he kind of like let me work with who was then his intern, Mike Davis, who had never made a full-length record yet, and then shortly after would make the Great Grandpa debut record, and made a bunch of awesome records since then. But I kind of got a lot of his time and attention for free-ish. And I also we kind of just took scraps studio time. Like, whenever there wasn't a band paying to be in the studio, we would go in the studio and go in there. Yeah. So we took months making that record because of that. So I like to clarify, because that doesn't mean that I had months of solid studio time.
It was just working. It just
when
means
you got over the course of months. Yeah.
But we got to be like meticulous, and I was like, this record is good. This is my Maya Cope. Is it? I don't know.
Magnum
opus.
Yeah, magnum opus.
And it did. As far as like the standards of what society tells you a successful record is, it did okay. But it was super discovery for me. I went on 2 national tours with that record, and people still, write me about it now. And, but okay, so where was I going with that? So then that didn't go off the way I wanted, and I was still kind of in my boo-hoo phase a little bit. And so I think I took a couple years I was playing music, but I wasn't like
making.
Yeah, I wasn't like writing as much and stuff. And then COVID kind of hit, and then I fell in love, and COVID hit, and
we're not toasting COVID, just to be clear.
Moved to Bellingham, was so ready to like have a change of scenery, and and so I started writing these songs from something brighter. Sunbeam Sunbeam was the first song I wrote for that record, where I was like, oh. It always kind of happens where there's like one song,
like,
and then I'm like, oh shit, that's a record. Like, I just know it. Like, you just kind of like...
You feel it. As soon as you keep fucking replaying it, you're like, oh yeah, yep.
And I also like think of my records pretty thematically. So I kind of like Sunbeam was just a song that was about... It's a song about falling in love, but the bittersweetness of finding love after... You spent many years being in like unhealthy relationships, and then kind of realizing like, if I'd only allowed myself to be open to this sooner, maybe we would have met sooner. Like, how did I have to go through all of this dark stuff to get to you? But then, so that's kind of like what that song was about. And I guess it kind of also reflected my relationship with music in a lot of ways, and I just kind of sensed a theme. And then the rest of the songs just kind of started falling out. And we were in lockdown, so we had to communicate them in really interesting ways. So I was just kind of like opening Logic and like using a MIDI keyboard and just kind of like like doing like really weird. I'm not a producer in any way, but I was able to kind of write some cool little synth lines or little thoughts to kind of go with my melodies and stuff. and then I'd sent them to my bandmate, William. And then we were engaged with my friend Andrew Vate, who's a producer, because I did a co-write with him right before COVID hit, and we hit it off really instantly. And he's like a pop producer, and he lives in Everett.
Pop producers are a different breed, though.
Yeah.
Because their ear and their ability to adapt to whatever they're working on is insane.
And he plays every instrument. So he plays drums, guitar, keys, strings, like all kinds of, or knows people that play every instrument, right?
Yo, I need you here right now.
So basically, like me and William put together kind of like really rough versions of songs and then sent them to Andrew, and we're like, do these sound like songs? And Andrew's like, yes.
Yeah.
And then Andrew ended up kind of like playing almost every instrument on that record. Like there's a lot of guitars that my bandmate William did. I actually played 0 instruments on that record.
Oh, wow.
Which was really cool. Like, because I'd always played guitar. Yeah, and I just really got to focus on like melodies and hooks and lyrics and feeling and like,
you basically played the maestro. You were able to like, hey, I want that sounds good, but if you try to like this, can you just kind of do something on the top line like this?
Well, I also, honestly though, I kind of like just trusted him a lot. And it was a lot of trust.
Yeah,
and that was really
tough.
cool,
that's
too.
It's tough to trust.
It's tough, but it's the best
it's so rewarding,
yeah.
Because also, you'll have those moments where somebody will lay something down, and it's like, no, trust me, or I have an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't it. Or, you was right.
And I think that's what I learned in the process of Comfort World when I was working with that producer, Mike Davis, too, was learning, like, I used to be so hard on myself that I wasn't a great guitar player. But I know how to write songs. And it's like just kind of figuring out what are the layers of control that I can let go of that would, and people I can bring in that will be fucking sick guitar players and fucking amazing drummers. And then they can come in and put their awesomeness onto this idea that I have that never would have gotten there if it wasn't for those people. So I think that studio experience prepped me for the trust experience that was making a record in COVID over email files. And then that record was kind of the record where I was like, I actually don't care what people think of this record. Like that, and then that was the record.
It's in the world.
That
Take
ended
it or
up
leave it.
kind of getting the most response to it, which was very interesting. And it's one of those weird psychological things where it's like, if you stop thinking about it, then the good things might start to happen.
The ether's gonna come to it.
But you can't think about the fact that if you stop thinking about, because you can't like do that. It's a weird.
Yeah.
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 So I just kind of felt like when I made that record, I was experiencing like a new kind of falling in love. I'd gotten married, and all these things were just like
a lot of changes,
and just life feels different in your early 30s than it does when you're in your early 20s. And so that record just kind of reflects a lot of my like learning about how to be more grateful.
We'll be right back after these messages. We'd like to give a special thanks to Lost Giant Cider Company, always providing us with our cider beverages and the best of the cider beverages. Visit Lost Giant's Tap Room in the heart of Bellingham at 1200 Meter Avenue in the Haskell Business Center. It's just down the street from Lakeway Fred Meyer. Menace Brewing, located in the Fountain District, is where flavor is unleashed. It serves as a local hub of craft beer and community. Recognized as the neighborhood's premier soccer hangout, I love me some soccer. Menace Brewing isn't just a brewery, it's the go-to spot for sports action and local engagement. Visitors can catch the game, connect with fellow fans, and immerse themselves in the heart of the spirited community. Menace Brewing invites everyone to join them, where every visit feels like coming home. Experience Menace Brewing in Bellingham today. And welcome back. We have to touch on 2023, the Sonic Guild.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that happened. And I didn't
How? Tell me the story front to back. How does it work? How did it feel?
Well, this is an example of what I'm saying. I didn't even apply.
What?
I didn't apply. How it works is that Sonic Guild is amazing. It's amazing. So they give these great. We love Sonic Guild.
We love Sonic Guild.
So what it is that and it actually started in like in Austin, I think, and then it kind of, and now it's in Nashville, Los Angeles, Seattle, and also it stretches to Bellingham. It applies to Bellingham musicians. The area code of like who qualifies for those
Seattle,
grants. So
Tap in.
FYI, Bellingham musicians. But basically, what it is his first name is Ben, and I feel terrible that I also can't remember his last name off the top of my head. Ben.
Good job, Ben.
Ben is the guy who started Sonic Guild and like runs it in Seattle, and basically, he kind of realized that there's a lot of huge companies in Seattle and very wealthy people that want to be involved in the music and arts community, and they want to give their money to music.
Yep.
They want to be supportive of the scene, and I think that there's also like a lot of flack that wealthy parts of Seattle, wealthy people in Seattle get for the shift in how things have happened in that city. And so I think that there is a need for benefactors and for people that are really involved in the community and who, have the ability to show it financially. And so basically Sonic Guild is an organization where people who love music and have the money, and it's all ranges of people, all ranges of incomes, because there's different levels that you can participate in the organization. But basically every month they donate to a pool that then gets used to give grants to Northwest musicians annually. And once you're a donor to Sonic Guild, you get to nominate the artists that then, become the pool. And I got a call that I don't even think I got. This was still in its newer time for Seattle. Like, I think it was only like its second or third year in Seattle. I don't even think I got a call that I was nominated. I feel like I just got a call when I won.
Wow.
Cool. And it was just like, I just got a call from Ben in the morning one day, and he was like, "Hey, Alex, how you doing? Just wanted to say congrats. You've just won $8,000 from Sonic Guild." And I was like, "What?" And he explained it all to me.
I would assume it was a scam.
Yeah, so that was very, very cool. And also,
and you guys do a show, right?
I think we did do a little show at the Jewel Box Theater, like, to kind of like honor the people that had won, and like just the class of, I think I was 2022.
2023.
I was 2023.
Pretty sure.
I don't know.
Let me fact check.
Yeah.
2023.
Oh, okay. Class of 2023.
Fact check.
Yeah, and that was it was like a year after my record had come out too, and I was just kind of like, holy crap, like
you did it.
And
people noticed.
And so and I got in the Seattle Times list for best albums of the Pacific Northwest. I got number 5.
Woo!
And I just couldn't believe
First
it.
of all, I don't know. Let's take a moment.
And that was a
pretty
list
good.
that I'd been wanting to be on, for my whole entire existence as an artist, and it just felt like all of a sudden, but it's like it's hard because like I don't want to like these things feel really good, but I also have to remember like you can't totally chase them. You can't totally chase them, and you can't like get too stuck in it.
Yeah, don't get stuck in it, but also you gotta accept.
I was really proud.
Embrace the basically the appreciation for the art that you created, and everybody just like really just showing love and just support for what you've created and given to the world, because you've impacted so many lives. Yes, earlier you were saying that a lot of people impacted me. I hope impacted them.
Yeah.
That right there, just that moment in itself, just shows that you have impacted people.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Chris. And like when you go and look at like the Seattle Times list of like, you can actually see they post another article that's like a breakdown of who the voters, like who the panelists were, because it's a select group of people that are DJs and journalists, throughout. And these are people that I realized that they were people that I'd known throughout my music career. Like I was like, oh, Kevin Deers, who's one of my friends from KUGS. Like he was the music director and I was the promotions director. And now he works at KISW. And he's like the alternative, like he hosts. Crazy. He hosts like one of the biggest rock shows on KISW. Now I'm like, I feel like such a nerd. I can't even remember the name of his show, but he's amazing. And Marco Collins was one of, and it's just like, and these are all people that I'm like, at some point I've shook their hand and become friends with these people, and they've known that I've been working for a long. And okay, here's my thing too that I realized is that if you just keep doing it, like
it all falls in place.
Like there's a lot to be said for not quitting music. And,
that is facts.
And to just like keep on doing it. And I think that that's something that sometimes
keep on doing it and keep having
people
fun.
Forget that and keep having fun.
If you're not having fun and you're doing it, like what the fuck are you doing it?
That's the only way you're going to keep on doing it is if you're having fun.
Speaking of keeping on doing it.
Yeah.
What can the people expect from you in the future?
Yeah, I've heard rumors of a new album on its
Yes.
way. Yeah.
I'm co-producing it with my bandmate William, and we're recording it at the Unknown in Anacortes, where I recorded my first record. So that's pretty cool.
Full circle.
And Aaron Guest is on the record, who's an amazing local musician. I feel like he is. I call him like Bruce Hornsby of Bellingham. Just like when he starts playing piano, it's just like absolutely insane. And
he's incredible.
I don't know if either of you have ever been to the Unknown. Have you?
I've
heard you said it like 3 times, and I feel like I gotta go check it out now.
Yeah, it's a really cool old church in Anacortes.
Oh, we talked about this before. Yeah, we talked about it before. I'd never been there.
Rich, when I think
Rich was talking about it. Yeah.
It's a lot of the heavy bands like to record there too. Yeah,
but the keyboard synthesizer collection there is like absolutely insane.
All right, you sold me.
And Aaron actually spent the night. We were there for 3 days, and we recorded mostly everything live. Like the whole band recorded live, and Aaron spent the night there for all 3 nights and just kind of surrounded himself with keyboards in his underwear and just like
That's a vibe. That's like, a vibe,
you know,
though.
and then like third day we get there and he's like, so I hung out with the keyboards all night last night and I need you to hear all of these sounds because I think they're just right for the record. And I'm like, okay, yes.
So what does this record sound like? What can people expect, I guess I would say?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I think that like
what's the vibe?
My first record was me figuring out how to be in a band, kind of typical indie rock record of the time. Then Comfort World was like was an indie rock, like you could hear the telekinesis, Death Cab for Cutie influences, Not a Surf kind of like core indie rock kind of. And then Something Brighter was just like my straight up pop record, I think.
Fuck yeah. Yep.
And then this record is actually, I think, more of a folk record. I just think it sounds like we put so many crazy instruments on the last record and so much of it was in the box that we never really could make it sound the way it sounded live. And so I really wanted to make a record that I could perform live the same way it sounds on the record.
A couple acoustic guitars and a piano or something and
so
really
it's a
capture
lot of
it.
You can even strip it back.
A lot of grand piano and guitars, bass, drums, vocals.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, and I've always been a person that listens to sad singer-songwriters and folk music. That's actually like most of what I listen to. So I think that I finally just kind of get to strip things down, and so it's more about the heart of the song and less about all of the stuff that you put on top of the song.
Yeah.
So when did we have like a possibility?
I mean, I just think like 2025.
2025.
Yeah. New Cumulus record, 2025.
Pay attention, folks. Shut up and listen. Pay attention. So at this time, we have one last question what we love to ask everybody before we part ways.
Yeah.
So with this, what is one piece of advice you want to give to the people?
She's given so much amazing advice already.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? We need that one.
Advice,
this is the moment, though. Clip this. What's that piece of advice?
Okay, one piece of advice that I could give is that find the reason that you love making music and do that as much as possible and don't quit, and you don't have to be good at everything. Find other people that are really good at the things that you're not really good at so that they can help you see your vision and make it even better.
It's called community.
It's community, it's collaboration, and the things that you discover when you're collaborating with people will blow your mind so freaking much. You'll have out of nowhere, you'll have a song you didn't have an hour ago. You'll have, an arrangement you didn't have an hour ago. You'll have I don't know. I just think don't compete with others. Make shit with others.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Make shit with others. Don't compete. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, friendly competition is good, but work together, motherfuckers. Jesse, got anything you want to...
I can't top that. That's great.
Okay.
I'm sorry for all the years and timelines there. There's a lot
No,
of
no, that was
history,
good.
but-
First of all, don't ever apologize for being you. First and foremost, always be you and don't ever change.
Oh, thanks, Chris.
So we appreciate it. We thank you.
You have the sweetest advice and thoughts.
You do. Right,
You're a great host.
I'm already
You guys are
gonna do
both great hosts. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for being here. At this point, I want to say thank y'all for tuning in.
One more thing I did forget to say.
Go ahead.
Oops. I'm on a record label called Share It Music that is amazing and a nonprofit. And they support us in amazing ways. And I thank you for putting out my record, Gail.
Where can they find it?
ShareItMusic.org. And it's share
not
it,
.com.
SHAREIT music and
.org.
.org. And I'm really, really grateful to their help for supporting small Northwest bands and actually they got a bunch of bands. Anyway, thank you, Kale. Just gotta say that.
Local. Support local. Stay
Good stuff.
beautiful. Stay hydrated. We love you. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Chrvns.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Alex.
And y'all have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful day, night, whatever the fuck it is.
Thanks again for tuning in to Shut Up and Listen. For more captivating content, including videos, articles, and everything music related, visit our website at shutupbeham.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button wherever you get your podcast and join the conversation by following us at Shut Up and Listen Beham on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Shut Up and Listen is proudly produced by Rocket Soul and Binary Recording Studio. Stay tuned for more fantastic episodes.